Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Soul Tribe gathering. Dee and Cory, thank you for being here tonight. I'm so excited to have you on.
Excited to be here for sure.
So, we were having some technical issues earlier, and if you'll just bear with us for a minute, we're going to make sure everybody can hear and speak clearly. So, Cory, thank you for being here. Can you hear me okay? Mic check. You're muted. There you go.
Thank you, family. It's really glitchy
okay?
over
You're a
here
little
on my
frozen.
end of things, so I'm going to do my best to not interrupt. So hello, everybody. Welcome in. I don't know how well anyone can hear me on this end of things. We're just going to flow. We're going to flow and be present.
Very well. I'm Dee with Guiding Light. I'm not sure how
Thank you
the whole circumstances
too.
have
How about
happened,
you? Can you hear
we're
everything?
coming around and we're wrapping.
Okay.
Seems to be a little something that wants us to prevent from speaking for whatever reason. But I think if we all just come in together and just relax and allow those energies to go up into the ether and formulate that quantum structure, I think we'll be just fine. But there seems to be a little bit of resistance. Maybe the important topics that I thought about, I will table for now. But glad to be in the discussion. Oh, yes. Let's get mine going, too. We'll just go ahead and do it all up.
Yes. Just a little sound bath right now to get everything stabilized.
Harmonizing.
Sorry, guys. I can't hear anything on my end. In and out. I'm just holding the field.
It's coming.
It's okay. We're sending it to you anyway, Cory. Stabilizing all grid structures, even flow, plasmic fluidity protected in the bubble of infinite bliss and light through the seven. Grounded and rooted. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. We're just going to go with the flow. We are simul-streaming again on all three channels. Bev Morrison could not be with us tonight, and I just want to hold some space for her and her family. Sister, we miss you. We wish you could have been here with us. She would just, it just feels right. There's family medical. She gave me permission. I could mention this, that her brother is having some serious medical issues. And so this is the kind of thing you want to hold space for people in your life, people that you know, people in your family, in your soul tribe. And it's all about the relationships now. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that tonight too. I definitely cannot hold the candle to Bev when it comes to astrology, but we have some very interesting things going on, and it's worth talking about relationships because we got the full moon coming up, and we've got Venus is all about, her keyword, I believe, is relationships. And things are all about the number 5 with love, and in the house of 7, which is partnerships. There's this whole theme is going on about karmic versus divine relationships. We're balancing that polarity, just like in Libra. We're in Libra season now. So when we're balancing polarity with things, if you think about relationships, you cannot complete someone else. You just can't. You have to complete yourself first. So when we're looking to have these divine relationships with people, don't be surprised. People always say, get rid of the bad, the toxic relationships that don't serve you. Get people like that out of your life. Well, that's very basic. If you think about it, if you have a karmic relationship with somebody and the relationship transforms, you've completed your karma. Now, some of that transformation includes those people to stay in your life, and sometimes it doesn't. So yes, sometimes karmic relationships part ways, but sometimes they stay in your life at a transformed level. So don't close the door on anybody just because you think, oh, that's karma. And that can be a very, very beautiful ending to something as well. Because what is that song? Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end.
Yes.
And we're coming up to an end. Speaking of ends, on Friday, the full moon is a 997 code. because it's on the 27th. The 7 and 2 is 9, and 2023 is a 7. And that's 18 and 7. Anyway, I started doing the numbers of this. I'm like, oh my God, we got 99. We got all these things, and I'm kind of going a little deep down the numerology hole. But I wanted to bring this up because when you have a 9, it's the end to something, right? 10 is the beginning. It's one that came around the block the whole time and has all that light shine. It has all the experience. It's seen everything once. So 10 is that new beginning in leadership. But 9, when you're completing things, it starts that transformation and able to usher in the 1. The 10 that's been around. So there's a lot of things that are happening. Today is Galactic 237. 239 is going to be on the full moon on Friday. And if you're not following that, if you are following the Zolkeen, in the Zolkeen, it's also a Galactic activation portal day. So, and it's at 5:58, which is an 18, which comes to 8 and 1 is 9. So all the numbers are lining up for these triple, quadruple 9s, and it's actually insane when you look at the numerology end of it. So I just wanted to get that out before I throw it over to you guys and see what's triggering you, what you've been going through. I can't do an astrology run like Bev, but she did promise she would come back on the channel and do something for the astrology. So thank you, sister. If you're getting to see this, we can't wait to hear how all the astrology fits into all these pieces and brings it all together. So yeah, what's good, guys? What's good in the hood and the Galactics in your area? What are you doing? What are you feeling? What are you sensing?
Oh man, there's been all kinds of different shifts going on with I've been trying to look at the Schumann resonance lately. I can't seem to find one at all. So I guess there is no resonance. I'm just kidding, but it's been a worldwide event. I had a wedding and a couple other things going on in my personal life, and just really enjoying the present. But I did feel some heaviness and some sticky energy, and more thoughts of past progressions that have already been passed over. So it was interesting that those are popping back up, but then it's also the affection of the field, right? So all these thoughts are going on around us. There's all these thought patterns, and all these thought patterns were starting to swirl into me, and I was starting to pick up on it. And my thought patterns were joining it. And instead of dissolving it like I normally do, I kind of just sat with it. And it really multiplied quickly. So I was in and out of trying to get out of that mindset of that frequency wave of those thoughts of desperation and desire, if you will, disgust and disappointment. And yesterday I noticed a big shift during the middle of the day. I finally shifted out of that, and the chaos just completely left, and the easiness of the flow came back to me, and I got to a really high point. And it was very interesting when I got to that point how a couple people would message me or ask me a couple questions, and it's like their frequency is not as high, so I would have to come down. And I made that choice to not interact with those individuals. So really coming into the protection of your own, right, your own divinity. I think it was great how you set that 7 sister circle up for us to kind of come together. Now we're starting to see each other, and the volume isn't as broken up as it was. But no, just the card spread kind of goes along with what I've been picking up in the atmosphere. We have a great opportunity, but we need to focus our frequency waves a little bit higher. So taking care of yourself right now is definitely true. And I miss Bev as well. I'm sure she would explain to us all what was going on in the atmosphere with the planet wise, but it's been a very interesting telling time. Even just the distractions and the distortions to go live with you guys. It seemed like a great idea. But we're here and we're pushing through it, and we're uniting, and we're becoming more in that.
Yes, we are.
That same frequency bandwidth is picking up, and it's just really cool just to see through the technology and the whole live how we've kind of fizzled. And I can see you nodding your head now. When I first started on here,
Yeah.
Just thrilled to be here. We got a lot of good information. Obviously, we'll let the water heat up, but enjoy yourself tonight and just allow yourself to be in that present moment. And let's just do our best to not think, right? Or if we do have a thought that isn't in coalescence or co-line with tonight's live, let's pinpoint it and let's move it out. Go ahead, Cory.
Hi, family. Well put, both of
Right.
you. Well put. It's so interesting because even myself coming into this, and apologies if I seem a little delayed. Tech is just, I'm going to deal with the insecurity of that right now and feel it fully. But it's one of those things that lately, Equinox was a big shift, right? Equinox was, it was a few days before Equinox that I aligned to this icosahedron energy, which really helped to open up the Stargate from within. So Equinox, that day, I remember it was late at night. I went on a walk with my beloved, and we went on our walk, and it was basically, where's the gate going to open up? Always, it was this energy of seeking the gate outside, right? So where would the gate open up, right? Like, where would this passageway be? Is there a land point, a landmass, a place in the collective in our city where this will open up? Well, as we're walking and searching, I came home and it opened up from within, which helped me to remember that bounce back within, which was such a really big key theme of this Equinox shift. Was it's all within, right? Everything we need is from within. It held open this heart Stargate that opened up for me, and I did a full thing on my channel about this, the activation of my builder. There's a lot of really destructive and deconstructive DNA that led up to Equinox. Everything was just destroyer, destroyer, destroyer. And then came the builder of the masculine, and it opened up with this Stargate at the heart space. And that helped me to bounce to this internal journey of that activation of everything from within versus everything from without. And so, and I say this because this is exactly what Lynda was mentioning about these relationships and the karmic relationship, bouncing back to the self. Now, with self comes the integrity of when am I playing in selfish motives, and when am I playing in selfless, which has judgment in the collective that I've seen. Okay. I'll say only from my viewpoint perspective, I've seen judgment in the collective over service to self and service to others, right? And this is what a lot of this ascension pathway is how do we get out of the service to self and the societies that collapse in that selfish narrative and begin to give back? This is where we get the 144, the light worker, the humanitarian, right? So then we're starting to balance this as healers and as way showers, is how do we care for self and take a direction where we're not overgiving, but also take a moment to very much so be in the space of activating what we need from within. And I was calling it a backwards reality where, when someone couldn't meet this expectation, a partner, a friend, or someone else, how do I meet it for self? When I'm going through like a really deep abandonment wound, right? How do I no longer abandon my needs, right? And then also, how do we balance that in moments where industries are shifting too? I'm working through a lot in my journey of seeing the really, like Dee brought it up, the desire and the disgust. And there's something that's been playing on the masculine collective, and this will play on women too, but I see it in the masculine collective. My focus is on the masculine collective, and it's this programming that has to do with Enki and Enlil. And a lot of this is distortions of the feminine, right? And where the men in consciousness are being played out to serve a creator being that isn't from the highest good, and plays in a lot of these distortions where they pull on these narratives. Well, the thing for us is to seal the field and to go into the narrative and to shift. But a lot of this has been feeling like, self-love before being able to help the collective right now. Take care of self. Don't play in the distortions. If you see a field or a lens or a perspective that's very much so distorting the reality, don't play in blame and judgment. Go within and look at if this is real or not. Because a lot of this can start to go into narcissism and gaslighting that's been playing out in the collectives that I've seen. And this questioning reality. Am I seeing this correctly? Right. And Dee talked about confluence, right? And confluence is rivers that merge, flows of consciousness that interweave with one another, and how that creates an effect like a mathematical probability, right? And for myself, there's a natural, what I call alchemical dilution that occurs in my reality, where when I add parts to the reality, if the soup goes bitter, why does it go bitter? And how can I refine the flavor of it? I think of it like a recipe, right? So if I'm creating a soup and I add in this, right? How does my stomach feel? Does it warm me up? Does it feel good? Does it create like distortion in the reality? What can I do? And we start to not, like, for me, I have to go in to dissect the narrative to find out what my truth and clarity is. But a lot of this is this merge and marriage of frequencies that occurs, right? Where we unify and it blends. So where do we harmonize with blending versus entanglement, right? Which is a fine line, right? One is an entanglement, one is it blending. One is it marriage, like a hierogamic, a union. And once again, what we're doing is we're dissolving the blurs of this. And this is a part of what these energies coming together are, is how does this create a whole and unified picture for self? And it's something I just wanted to relate to, because I've seen this too, where I'm not letting people in, right? Because I only want independent stream, autonomous stream, right? And feeling selfish within that. And so it's like, how do we let it's interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna stop there because I could go on. But these kinds of narratives are coming up, and the biggest thing for myself is recognizing when people want to continue to do the work, because we're talking about karmic relationships. It's not in my opinion, it's not our job to take on everyone's work and to keep clearing the karma for everybody. And so in some relationships, if another person doesn't want to create movement, where do we don't feel selfish, but start to make shifts where if people don't want to move, what do we do? So we don't get stuck again, once again. And there's that level of autonomy and independence within it, but it's from a space of caring and compassion. So I want to state that, the job is in our hands to heal. The job is in our hands to step into self-care and self-love. But also to harmonize to what these new truths are, because all of these are seeds that come together that birth new truths, right? So when these thoughts come together and these things align, we're birthing new creations through it too. So anyway.
That's good.
That's all I've got.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I apologize. First, I want to welcome everybody who's watching the channel and who's joined us live tonight. If the buffering is getting too much, I believe the playback through StreamYard should get rid of a lot of that too. So, try to stick with us and keep the collective in a smooth, any kind of thoughts that are negative, like what Cory was just talking about, it all comes down to our thoughts, and how do we get this? How do we do this? Well, I was shown a couple years ago, Cory, you reminded me, I was shown a couple years back, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago at this point, I don't know, that we would all be in these bubbles, these cells of protection. And I wrote about it on an old blog. And I remember seeing it and knowing how seen in our lights and who we are, like as star beings. I thought that's what we would be seeing, but it's actually playing in the unseen, physically unseen world. And we're all in these bubbles. We have our own division, our own, you could say it's your aura, but go beyond that. You have a bubble around your aura, your tube of light, everything in your area that's sort of like, look at it like training wheels. We have a lot of things where we take the training wheels off. We've been here, we've done that. In this point, like the male collective, when Cory was talking earlier, the male collective is ready to step into honesty and integrity because that's what they've always proclaimed, they were about in their patriarchy and their rule over, in that age of Piscean and all of that. They're moving now into this like, oh, I can be a king who's honest and integrity and full of light. Like I can choose that. Yes, you absolutely fucking can. And I hope you do, all you males out there that are wondering if you can choose that or not, because maybe of things in your past. But I feel like there's a lot in the collective of people that maybe have had some climb on top of someone else to get up higher in the chain. And how do I get rid of that? How do I forgive myself? Or I've already done this. This life is wasted for me. And I'm feeling that in the male collective when you were talking, Cory, and it's stuff that every person cleans up on their own ability to clean up their own thoughts, their own personal control over their field expands in control. We know this, but there's people that are just trying to figure it out. And so when you were talking about blending versus entangling, it's like this: whoever vibrates at the highest is the one who's controlling the bubble of protection, controlling the field. And I don't mean control in a bad way. I use that word lightly, because if you're vibrating at a faster rate and somebody comes into your field, they're coming into your field. You can stop them from coming into your field if you want, but if you give permission, they're in your field, then you are raising them up to a higher level. So they'll get a healing of some sort. The healing could be releasing something they didn't even know they had attached, right? It's a healing of some sort because they're coming into your field. So maintaining the thoughts of that creator, goddess, creator, creatrix, mother, creator, the healer inside of that. You're also using the divine masculine because the divine masculine's in charge of all the protections and directing, what type of blessing did you want, dear? Yes, I'll go get that on the shelf. Here's the emerald ray. That's the healing ray. Like you want everybody working in harmony, like kind of swimming around inside so that your energy is blended in yourself. And then anybody who steps into it is just taking a bath in it, and you've got that with the violet flame and the emerald ray and all the colors, like everything that you use, that's your gifts. Yes, it's filling over. Exactly. So yeah, that's all came from that last round. I hope we're not buffing much, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. We welcome everybody. I haven't had a chance to look at the comments yet, but we'll get over to them. Go ahead, Dee.
Yes, welcome everybody.
Cory, anybody?
Yeah, so I was picking up the thought patterns that are going out and coming back and transversing, right? So if we look at it, a thought pattern is energy going out. And if we could see our thoughts, it would be light. So the light transfers out through the thought. Well, there's all these light flies, if you will, or molecules of light that are whizzing around, right? And at this disgust is to see the collective's putting it up there and they're whizzing around, and then we accidentally pick up a few things of those. Now we're adding to it, so we're magnifying the effect, right? Because if we're stronger, more in our power, more in our sense of our being, then when we put that energy out there, we're almost getting the rest of those fireflies to follow our firefly. And what happens? It comes back and it's like tenfold, right? So to really displace all that information and understand, okay, my thoughts are going out into this collective field and it's adding either momentum or it's taking it away. And I think it's very intimate to not play into the thought patterns or to give into or to allow, right? So we say we make these choices and we say, well, we didn't choose to have this in our reality, but at some point we choose to align with that type of a frequency or thought pattern that brought it to our reality, right? And taking a higher step in consciousness, you know, we can use those thought patterns to go out into the grid systems and pull out the things that we desire and bring them back. But if we get a little bit out there and we're not controlling our thoughts, when those thoughts go out, we're getting into the collective, we're getting the collective stuff back. And that's when we find that victim mentality and disgust and blame, because it's not your disgust. It's not your upsetness, but it's getting on your nerves because your neurons are transmitted to your brain where the thought came in. So I know we've had the computer analogy quite a few times, but the solar plex is the power center, right? And if we're not putting power in our solar plex, we're not powering our computer properly, right? And then the heart is the GPU, in my opinion, that's kind of helps sourcing the code. And then the brain's just the visual, the decoder, like all the other parts of the computer that we put the inputs into. And we really got to understand and remember too, is our brain's dark, so it can't see any light. So it can only go picking up off the perceptionary sensories that we have. Okay. We're a solid energy, but we're in this meat suit, as somebody likes to call it, a beautiful crystalline structure that's turning into be, right? But we're here in this energy, we come in here. We get the five senses. We get all these perceptionaries. So it's the container in itself as the body, right? And she was just talking about the egg or the ball around you. Well, you're in that ball. That is your protection. That is your essence of your soul. And when you decode your essence of your soul, you know, that's when you come into that caduceus. That's when that phoenix rises, right? And to understand that I can be a phoenix rise, but I can still come back into my egg or my bubble of protection and sit within the consciousness, because we are in 3D reality, right? The only way to really get out of the 3D is probably to pass over, right? So they say it's a shift and we're going into 5D and it's like, it's going to happen like that. Well, it's the perception of what you can see. And if the reality is more coherent to seeing that perspective or that fifth dimensional, then the reality is ready to see it. The 3D vessel is ready to see it. That's when the 5D just makes itself happen. So you'll see the 5-dimensional structures come up around, and it'll be clear to the visible eye. And I keep seeing this happening within the next couple of years, and it's just very powerful. And it's exciting to think about. But right now, it's the bombardment of those thought patterns, and we'll get more into that as well. It even got a great card pool, so looking forward to it.
Awesome. Cory, did you bring cards too? Were you planning on doing that? I didn't have
Yeah.
it sectioned off because we were just going to show up. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Sure.
I did.
If anybody wants to pull a card and just see where we're at, check the temperature.
So it's really interesting. I did a tarot spread.
Yeah, there's a delay.
Oh, there's a delay. Okay. I did a tarot spread, and I did.
Yeah, go ahead. You do your tarot.
Star Dragons. So with the tarot cloud cover of the reading, we got Nine of Pentacles, and Nine of Pentacles is showing up as the light we hold. Right. So Nine of Pentacles traditionally is basically like it is the most desired outcome in regards to the manifestation of a reality. It is like, you know, it's the money, it's the independence, it's the entrepreneurship, and it's also the connected to Gaia. And I want to focus on the golden skies. Right. So there's this energy of the golden skies, which is like, Dee just talked about this, ascended new earth, 5D, right? This is what we would see as a classical 5D, like adorned, ready, prepared, connected, all the resources, feeling good. So we're looking at these ascended realities or successful completion, right? The things that we want to see happen, the things we want to be made manifest as the cloud cover. We see Ace of Cups, Six of Cups, and Four of Cups. So this for us, so this is the cloud cover, meaning this is the overlay. This is like, if we can imagine, this is what's coming from source, or the idea in the collective is the beautiful picture being made manifest for us, or the golden light body, that ascended new earth reality. Well, we see the gifts here with Ace of Cups to the partnerships and to the relationships. And then we see mind, body, soul integration. So obviously there's something that we can give in regards to successful outcomes, the seeds, the ideas, the intentions that we offer to other people, and we're offering it to the child, right? We're offering it from the place of the children. So here's the cup, the children giving the cup, and then we have the stabilization of mind, body, soul within this. So basically what this is saying, it's like this childlike offering of love to the relationships, to the reality, and the embodiment of this is really, really important, because there's this like the sweetness of life being made manifest by us activating it from within, right? The universe wanting us to focus on the Page of Pentacles, which is essentially the ideas, the thought forms, recognizing that these seeds, where we place these seeds, are where they made where we place these seeds, where we grow them, and what we give them is what aligns the journey. Page of Pentacles also represents that there is a journey here. The journey's not over with. So what we do is we take the ripe offering of conditions to begin stating that there is something that we can offer our reality and offer our relationships in regards to mind, body, and soul connection, which means there is some form of independence within the relationship, which means, once again, we were talking about this entanglement and this disentanglement. There's a level of autonomy of who you are as a soul light, and the gift that you can offer to these realities and to these people, to these places, to these events, to these experiences, that's going to bring in a harmonization of a successful outcome. And the universe wants us to get creative with these ideas, these thought forms, right? Because once again, he's looking at the page, he's looking at the pentacle, he's got the bigger hat, which means the bigger thought form. There's ideas and thought forms and belief systems that we can harmonize with of these like successful pictures of realities that we can begin creating and sharing with other people. And this is where we get inspiration and enlightenment moving forward with the Star Dragons deck. So there is some sort of inspired action that will assist in this metamorphosis and this transition that's occurring. So where is this seed of inspiration? And here's the biggest thing I want to state from a personal perspective is there have been many days where I haven't been inspired. I've actually been tired and uninspired, which is a beautiful song, by the way, by a band called My American Heart. And I want to state this is that this is about us stepping into the experience of taking inspired action moving forward, which means when inspired, when the aha moment comes on, when you feel reestablished, reconnected, right? You feel divine. That's the moment to act on these opportunities, right? And so the biggest thing here for me has been, you know, moving forward with this enlightenment card is that there's this inspired level of understanding light, why we're here, and wisdom in the experience that we're here to activate. So there is this calling forward of successful outcomes, the ascended realities, seeing people as those ascended realities too, right? And beginning to inspire these things. So once again, there's a whole lot of love to give our reality and to give our people right now. But right now it's about these ideas, right? This inspiration, this is the inspiration. So there's some sort of download or something that comes in for us, some sort of divine inspiration that's going to give us an opportunity on how to work with our people, how to work with our tribe, or our relationships, if there's anything romantic or friendship wise that's going on as well. So that's a lot to share.
That's powerful. Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Thanks.
Yeah, Cory, I wanted to jump in real quick and say something about that Ace of Cups overflowing. Derek, that's what you were saying. Like when your cup overfloweth, that's when you shareth, right? And also the Pentacles and the 9, again, coming up with the 9. And it's like all these things. When there's another card there with the children, I forget which one it was, with the children playing in the field. It's like a celebration, but it's about family and relationships. which one was that in the tarot? Yes, that's the one. What is it? Hold it closer. 7? I forget what it
Six
is.
of
Someone's
6?
cup up. What's
Six of
going on
Cups?
there? I can't really see.
6 of
9.
Cups.
6 of Cups, yeah. Yeah, 6 of Cups. So that was saying to me loud and clear. Remember all the 9s we were talking about earlier? Well, when you're hitting a 9, you're getting ready for that transformation into the 10. You're always going to get reviews. And we have all these retrogrades, astrology speaking. Bev can cover some of that stuff when she comes on. But, we just had Venus coming out of retrograde, and she's just coming back to her third and last time doing her thing. So Bev's probably laughing at me like, Lynda, tell them what's going. I don't know, Bev, we need you. But we know it's her third and final. She's come out of that 40 days and 40 nights, like she's done her death walk down in hell, basically in the underworld. She's done it. She's come back out now, and she's getting far enough away from the sun. She's going to start going into like independence in Virgo. So I know that much about, Venus, which she's coming, which she's bringing. So like Venus is the divine feminine in all of us, whether you're masculine, feminine, or somewhere in between. Venus is about love and beauty and just being the queen, the divine goddess of all of that. So you're going to have life reviews. You're going to have pieces come up that the aha moments you were talking about, you're going to be having all of these things. Now, if you haven't already, you've probably been under a rock then, because most people are having memories, recalls, redirects on GPS to go past houses from your past that oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like some of these things that are happening are so that you can just take one final look at it and not go, oh crap, that was horrible. It's like, oh wow, I made it through that.
Look how
like thank
far I've
you for
come.
being a teacher. Thank you so much. Like, look at you, genius, up there creating this crazy maze for me to walk through. Like, thank you. You become grateful. They say your lessons are your blessings, right?
Yeah.
And this is
well
what
put.
people are going through right now. And the 9s, all the 9s leading up through and through Friday and beyond that. But yeah, we're stepping into our 10s. And I have a son who was born on 10/10, just saying. Just had to mention that.
Cool.
And Stephen, you better keep facing in the right direction, kiddo, because I'm proud of you, just in case you're watching.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way, I really want to quick,
Yeah,
and
cool
I
stuff.
hope I don't cut anyone off, but it
I don't know
was
where that
9
came
of
from.
Pentacles, and we've got the 6 and the 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. So I just wanted to confirm we have this 9 and the 10. And when we're adding up numerologically, the 9s cancel out, they mean 0. So we do have this 10 frequency that's showing up, which is interesting because it is that new beginning. When we look at the 1s, it's looking at the duality too, right? There's been such a dualized picture or contrasting picture that's been showing up for myself at least too, which has been about the choice of perspective. So I can see the oneness. This is the alpha and the omega. This is the creator consciousness. This is the reason why we're here, which is a lot of the reason why the 9s come in too. 9s are mysteries.
Yes.
9s a lot have the mystery number. It is a number of Merlin. For us, it's the number of the mysteries unveiled. So this is not only personal mysteries, right? Which means the aha moments of self, but that's why these completions occur, because these lessons are where the wisdom gets activated, which is a lot of what the 9s are. And that's what mysticism is. Like, mysticism is deep truth. Whether we see this as a human truth, a spiritual truth, this is the inner gnosis that begins to get activated. And when we know thyself, right? We know thyself, we're able to start really understanding why we came to be, a lot of these creator purposes. And these things come up. And here's the thing about this is the revelation of these truths means not all truths feel comfortable. But how can we bring love within light to those truths that are uncomfortable? Because this is the acceptance piece, is there's no longer resisting, right? There's no longer resisting. We got to look at it. And I even went through one of these periods a little while ago here where we saw a shadow purge that was almost seen as a big collective monster. And everyone was playing it locally. It was a local thing. And we had to do this whole galactic shamanism shifts to get this thing out of here. But it was a collective, once again, it all came from the perspective of a collective belief system. So we could see these things outside, these mysteries, is also these internal belief systems that is held in narratives of the collective. And as we get these pockets and just kind of bring them up, there's a level of love or compassion that we can show to self and show to one another in those experiences, right? The Ace of Cups, that will help for us to find eternal happiness in these experiences. Because once again, the stuff that comes up is not always puppy farts, rainbows, and sunshine. Some days that once again, this is being okay with the shadow and allowing that as these purges come up, that we can get into those detoxifying patterns of our reality and be able to love ourselves. So
that's beautiful. Yeah, being able to love yourself. And it's very interesting coming back to that 9, right?
Yes.
It's at the beginning of the end, right? Well, even though we're at the end of the shift, and yes, you may have made tremendous strides and done tremendous things, and we're happy for you as well. And that's what we achieve. We want everybody to achieve. But in the same sense, we're going into this new beginning. Are you bringing some of that old energy that you don't like, right? It's a chance to reassess in a way. It's almost like the ultimate retrograde in the way of the conscious. So the way I act and work is through the energy of the angelical realm. Very connected to Angel Gabriel. I feel like there's a big assets in my presence that has that energy in it. It's part of my codage, if you will. But this information is coming in so hot right now, and it's very interesting. Why? Because we're at this 9, we're at this crucial threshold point, and my card spread's pretty much putting it right into perspective of what exactly Cory was just talking about. Number 1's victim mentality, right? We see those dark colors, but yet we still have a little bit of a presence of ourselves, right? So it's really an illusion to think that we're separate, but in the same sense, that illusion of separateness gives us our personality in a way, right? From an energetical perspective, we all come from that one source, but really you're leaning to understand that everything happens through you, not to you. So that's very important. Through you, not to you. You know, it seems like it's happening to us, but it's things that we put through us that we needed to understand and learn from. So that way we don't allow it to go through us, right? And then it doesn't happen to you once you stop allowing it to go through you. And then the second one was onward and upward, right? There's no reason to dwell in the past, right? Okay, I've had this victim mentality. You know, woe has been me, right? I can't say that I've never went through this victim mentality. In fact, it was a big struggle and part of my shadow work and my progression and my thing. But letting go of the past can be the present and create the future you desire. If we stay in the past, I think we've all heard that before, but you're never going to get to where you desire. If you're always going back, you're playing that victim mentality. And then I didn't even know this daggone card was in the deck. I've never seen it, but it's called the blame game. And you see how everything's just destructed when you put the blame on the play the blame game. You're destroying thought patterns. You're destroying things that are trying to harm less and coalesce with you. So it's time to take ownership of your life and creating. So how important is that ownership, how obtaining that energy, making your stamp in your energy signature, right? Getting away from victim mentality, getting away from the past, going upward, right? We don't want to barely take a step. We want to propel upward, right? And in this new beginning, do we want to start here or do we want to start up here? Because we're right here right now. Before we get to the 10, we can shift up on top of here, right? So we can make extremely leaps and bounds right now in this condition with this energy. You know, for me, I've let go of the mental mentality. I'm pretty much in the presence, and I don't blame anybody but myself. And I take control and reaction from my energies. But it wasn't always like that, okay? And becoming aware of that and addressing that and working on it, that's part of the shadow work, but that's part of the progression. But then in the same sense, that's now getting in your presence and understanding that your thoughts and you and the way your energy is portrayed and everything, it all starts with you and your thoughts and your clearness in your body. And that's what got me really into the mental body, because it was very intriguing how the mental body caused the emotional body to react. So to get the mental body not to have the emotional react, and then when the emotions react, the mental didn't have a thought, right? It was very clear I was having emotional reaction. Why? Mental was clear, so then I could see it better. But as Cory calls it, the cloud cover, and a couple other brothers out there, you know, just the storyline of the deck, it's expansion, right? So we see we got to draw the line, right? Look at the line right down the middle. So we're expanding. You're getting ready to move up into higher levels of awareness through embracing your life experiences, right? How ironic it's saying embrace your life experiences. I mean, these are 4 cards that I have not seen in this deck, and I've been playing with this deck for over a year. And I think it's very prevalent and to understand we're in this 9. We walk away from this victim mentality. We put the past in the past. We embrace change as it is the only constant in this universe. We do no longer blame anything. We show responsibility for our actions, and we expand by how? Embracing our life experiences. So get out there, experience the life, and enjoy and everything in that. But I have a little 2-parter on the thought patterns wheezing out like little light flies, right? When we're surrounded by a lot of people, we're all kind of conjunction in there. It's like everybody trying to use the Wi-Fi or standing in front of a loudspeaker and trying to talk. There's multiple different analogies that just came to my awareness over the last couple of days. But why we say go out in the nature, or why we say take a drive and get away from the city if you're in the city. Well, with all these thought patterns circling around, people are going through this victim mentality, this looking in the past, playing this blame game because it's pushed throughout the collective. It's divinely pushed in a way. It sounds like it's an attack, but in the same sense, it's to re-embrace, relive it, and know you don't want to go back. But as this is going on with everybody, there's so much commotion, you don't really have a chance to be present with yourself. So if you can allow yourself to go to a sacred space or to get away and actually expand your energy, the noise quiets down. And then you're left with what's really the things that are on your nerves, right? And if you can free your nerves will be free. A good meditational practice would be to bring in a dark hunter green, like a pine cone green, dark green, but with the metallic color with it. That'll help ease your nerves. But really, it's going through all of that, what I've already said, allowing your nerves and allowing yourself to be calmed down, because then you're allowing yourself to be lighter, right? You're not burdening yourself. And as you become lighter, you're able to lift up into higher levels of consciousness. And if you're in a higher level consciousness, when this shift occurs, you're locked in, baby. Deal. Let's make the deal. Let's get on a higher wavelength, Kick it back to Lynda.
That's a deal. That's a deal. That's a deal. Yeah, like what you're saying, when you're at a higher level vibration, you're bringing that into your body. Your body is a spaceship. It is your space suit. It is, everything you want it to be. You know what I mean? That is your body. So whether we're all going to go at once or whether we're going to ascend at different personal levels, like we kind of realize this is graduation time. So there's a lot of people that are just waiting for other people now at this point. Like, let's go. And then the critical mass happens. And when the flash, whatever, we don't know. We haven't lived through this in this lifetime with amnesia. It's impossible to say what's going to happen. And anyone that claims that they know, well, they're probably just joshing you and telling you what their vision is, because we all have a vision of it. But it's funny how everybody's vision is kind of like coming together. I had somebody say, we've done the shadow work, and if you don't want any more shadow work, then stop looking in the past. Because if you're looking in the past, that's casting a shadow. We're done with that.
I like that.
It's like,
That's
if you're
beautiful.
in the present now, and we're
Yes.
moving upward. Yeah, we came from the future. We don't want to go in the past, and there's no shadow. So like, we got to go up, only upward. Grab onto that bottom rung if you have to, and put a harness on, latch your little caboose onto the spiral, because we're spiraling up and out of here. But that doesn't mean we're going anywhere. It means our rate of vibration is going there. Our inner world is going. Our bodies are staying here. We're not like, come and beam me up, Scotty. If we have a birth and we see that, yes, we are galactic and we have this veil and we're in this cocoon, and if that all opens up, then great. If they wanted to kill us, they would have done it by now. So stop worrying. The end of the world's coming. Like, and if we all get to go together, it's going to be done, like in a blink of an eye. So it's prophesized about, it's nothing to fear. So like, when people are running around like crazy, like their heads are chopped off, like, this is so important. This is so important. Well, kind of like, there are some important things, and I think the time's running out. You know what I mean?
But that's
There's more
that
important
excitement of
things
the
than,
ungrounded energy, right? I remember
than
being young in my
worrying.
journey and going through that myself. It's like,
Yes.
you just want to stay on top of the cliff there and really wake everybody up. But in the same sense, to change the world, you have to heal yourself, right? So a lot of people want to try to change the world, and they haven't changed themselves, right?
Yeah.
Or they just dip the toe in the water and don't realize how deep the water
Yes.
goes and the mermaid castle that's below it. I just wanted to point something out real quick. The last card, I picked up the bottom card of the deck, and it was expansion. The last card underneath it, or the card ropes right underneath it that showed up, was collective consciousness. You may be feeling overwhelmed by all the energetical shifts. It's time to focus on peace and love for all. And I thought that was just, boom, that blew me away more powerful, even more so, because what are we putting out into the field and how we're projecting our thoughts, right? Let's focus on peace and love. And it's not, we need to get above somebody. Like I was using a stair step. It's not about levels. It's the thing about that is bringing your consciousness up so you can bring others up with you, right? The love for all.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just imagine like a tube, like a tornado, a tube that could contain a tornado, and like you're the tornado, right?
Ooh.
But you can't bring all that in until you clear out all the debris. It can't ground. So you're trying to ground that spiral, with you being in your physical body, you want to try to ground those higher dimensional energies. So
That's a great
I pulled
analogy,
out, we're talking
Lynda.
about the divine masculine. 4 and 3 is a 7. It's a man holding a coin. So yeah. When we were talking about the man holding the coin, this is like abundance for everybody. This is the divine masculine stepping into, you got, that's a Page of Pentacles, right? Oh my God. All right. And then the garden and the gate. I see
Yes.
it. The garden and the gate. It's number 30. So 7 and 3 is a 10. That's another 10. And you know what this is. You know what the garden is, right?
Mm-hmm.
New Earth.
5D consciousness.
Whatever that may be. And the last one was Angel of Strength. You guys, we're all strong enough to do this. Okay? You wouldn't even be watching this channel if you weren't tribe, if you weren't family, if we weren't all like, accepting the mission that is our soul integration, rainbow warrior side. You know what I mean? We're all here to like do something, but we come together as a collective because it's a group. Younger, are we not? Come on, let's go. Yeah. I get a little carried away, and I know there's a delay with you guys, so I could ramble all night about these kind of things, and I don't want to take up. I want to hear from you guys. Like, what's been going
We
on?
like hearing from you too,
know?
Lynda. We love
Like,
hearing
is everybody
from you.
still? Is
You've been
everybody
putting some
working
great
on?
analogies out there, and you've really just been hitting the nail on the head. And you can't bring that vortex or tornado until you kind of shed the debris field. And I think a lot of us have tried to bring that in with the debris field, and it has added some more strife within our journey. But to really understand and to be free and clear, I mean, I want this for everybody. And when people struggle, I'm struggling with them too, and I know my power and my possibilities. It hurts to see, but then I got to humble myself, and I got to look at it from a higher perspective and realize what it's doing and how it's moving this collective energy into a higher. With the equinox, we're changing shifts. Every time we have this beginning and closing of the equinox in a way, or the shift of how the sun and the moon roll around this planet, what's happening is we're getting closer and closer to that point when everything aligns into that supernova power point, if you will. And, maybe there's do split. Maybe we do just go somewhere else. But what I truly see is the 5D quantum vision manifesting in reality off creation. So if you can see and create in your mind in a blank field, it shall be done.
Uh-huh.
Just like the pyramids, how I believe were raised out of the ground to begin with.
Yeah. Well, it's powerful stuff. I'm wondering how the connections are over there. You with Cory. You were coming through pretty clear, D. You only buffered a few times.
That's
Cory,
good.
I'm wondering how your connections are going up there. Can you hear okay?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine. It's just knowing when to weave in. There's so much to share, but also too is to be patient. And the biggest thing I wanted to talk about, because before we came online, I had heard that we're going to have some discussions about victim. And it was before we came on, it started to dial in. I was like, oh, are we here again? Because I've been so frustrated with the programming of the victim, right? But I have a lot to say because, it was really beautiful when Dee brought in the Archangel Gabriel approach to this. I could feel that compassion coming in for this. And this is something I want to remind all of us, is that when we see things happening in the news and in the media, a lot of what is occurring with these narratives, right? And we look political, we look at individual, is we look for fairness, which is a lot of what justice is. That's what Libra is. How do we bring this into balance for the greater good of all? How does this come in and reflect a place where if we feel at loss, the dividends get met? Think about it. Think about someone stealing $50 out of your bank account, right? You want that $50 back in the bank account. So how do we do it without playing into the narrative, right? And the biggest thing here is about holding really big compassion for self. Because basically it's really interesting, because I been doing a lot of research on this about the victim, the bully, and the blame game, but also too is the savior loop within that, right? Because what starts to perpetuate this, right, which is a lot of this Christ level when we start to heal Jesus and Yeshua, is the big thing is healing that savior, right? Which is the same thing that we were kind of talking about. Someone's not going to come in and just grab us and pull us to safety, unless that's a part of your teaching. I've had saviors show up multiple times in my journey to come in and to pull me out of difficult situations, because they were here to teach me about the angelic hug between neighbors, between friends, between family, between community, right? And so the thing is that as we are going through this and we're seeing things grand stage, or even in our own journey, the accountability, like brother said, the accountability for what you're going through, but also too is the emotional responsibility, right? And then really holding deeper levels of compassion for self while you're going through this. Because the thing that gets you out of the victim is the survivor, right? And the survivor meaning you overcame it, right? But even myself, I have internal debates where I recognize this is when justice comes in. And I'm not saying the justice system, because that's a part of it, but I'm talking about the justice card in tarot is about how to bring fairness and equality and balance to situations that are, because some of these things are kind of tough to witness and to see. There are excruciating things that have happened in humanity and to other people, and in certain, socioeconomic classes and in certain societies. We've seen things that aren't nice. They're quite disgusting. And what starts to happen is we can start to play into the revenge, right? Which is like, let's go get them, right? Let's go do this. The blame is also the finger pointing, right? And these kinds of things, the persecution, right? The go take them down. It's still duality, right? And it's tough, because even myself, I don't want to say it's tough, but like I'm aware that some of these constructs aren't easy. So what was coming through is when I saw Angel of Strength was, guys, as we are getting our feet back on the ground and remembering how to walk in a reality where we're not playing in these journeys, hold love and respect for self of what you're experiencing within the experience, which means dive all in, get into it. Because even myself, today in the past 2 days have been in a traumatic experience. And it's just energy. Nothing physically is happening, but I've been in a traumatic energy, and it's a collective pocket I hit. And they told me at a galactic level, there are going to be those moments. I had those moments where I'm driving down the street and I'm going, holy shit, I feel like I'm about to die. Right. And then I have to weave back into my body and go, no, I'm okay. And like really, really deep programming in the body that's saying, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it home. Right. Whatever it is in the narrative. And I've had a few times where even myself, I'm looking up, I'm going, does it really need to be this hard? And it's like, well, first off, we're going to get to that moment of clarity where we go, oh shit, that's why. Right. And it always happens. I always get those moments of expansion, whether it's now, it's in a few years, or in a couple decades, or in a couple of weeks. Who knows? Right. I can let go of expectation, but hold space for self to go through the experience of what it's feeling and invite in self-love to that space. And the biggest thing too is, guys, I want to tell this to everybody. It's okay to be the victim. And here's why. I'm not condoning the belief system, but sometimes that's the way we have to dissolve the judgment, is go, I accept that this is where I'm at right now. And I have to do this too. I wake up and go, you know what? I've had times where I wake up out of dream time and I'm like, oh, this person did this and this person did that. I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. I'm playing victim. And go, okay, Cory, you're being the victim. Right?
Yeah.
Being the victim.
That's interesting how our dreams can alter our emotions like that and our thought patterns. And we wake up and it's like that last bit of vision of your dream was placed on you to see, almost as a test, but in the same sense, where are you feeding, right? Are you going to be the food, or are you going to turn that around and let it fuel you, right? I always say, don't let it rumble you, let it humble you.
Yep. And it's one of those too that for myself, it was the other day I ran into a victim patterning. And it took me about an hour and a half to get out of it. Right. So that's the other thing too, is about be patient with self. If you see something in the narratives, and I say the narrative because once again, media, social media, they did this group did that, they did that. And instead of getting into the arguing and barking and yelling, which if you need to do that, cool. Sacred rage is a part of the process. You don't have to stay there, right? Some people step into sacred rage and you just got to go let it out, right? I'm not going to judge how you handle it, but I found that patience is really important, because sometimes it takes an hour or 2 hours to shift out, to get to a place of what I call nominal or balance or 0 point. And when we're at 0 point, we can start to make healthy consciousness decisions. And we have 0 point negative, 0 point positive. And myself, I've been running 0 point negative for the past couple of days, which means I'm centered and I'm balanced, but I'm on the negative ends, which can come up as malaise. So guys, if subtle realms of depression come in, look at how to bring healthy levels of oxytocin into your body, healthy levels of dopamine. Because once again, there are bad, I say bad, I don't want to say good and bad, before that and better. There are distortions that we're still shifting right now that belong to the chemical body. And so that means we're not getting the energies that are going to be so rewarding in the experience, which can be like, sexual desire. It can be like, for me, it was like, I don't even want to go online. We can't go. It's like, you're not doing the Instagram shopping and looking at beautiful models online. You're kind of feeling a little bit more. And I was shown, it was a Christ malaise that was coming in. And it's this light that helps to dissolve these very addictive energies that can happen with consumerism, which is like, once again, the Instagram model online, or like, things like pornography or sugar, and these are the things that have been very detrimental to the conditioning of the experience for a lot of people, energies that fuel a lot of these things. And so for us, if you feel like you're in that malaise, do what you can to get to the healthy reward systems in the body, but also recognize too, this too shall pass, right? And I recognize that when I am an ascending individual in the body, there are chemical components to the body as well. And so this is one of those things that we have to be mindful of in an awareness, is that sometimes too, as we're going through these neutral points of experience, not everything does feel like ascended new earth, or we're not hitting those joy and those bliss states. But if you're in the heart and you're centered, I want to let you know 0 point negative is something that occurs. And it doesn't mean that it's negative. It just means that you're in a little bit more of a void. And in that void, you will fill up and you will pop back to life again. So it doesn't have to be so immediate or reactive, because that's the biggest thing too, is how much can I slow down the reaction point of what I'm experiencing? Because this is where we start to feed into these feelings. Like Dee said, you wake up and all of a sudden you're now just like, you're the food for these kinds of energies. We want to make sure that we can actually recognize, hey, this is the space that I'm at. I'm accepting of it. And what can I do to bring healthy balance to my body, to my mind, and to my soul, so I can feel the integration and the completion from the experience. That's all.
Beautiful. Go, Lynda, go. You're frozen on my screen.
Awesome.
Yes.
Hey, am I frozen?
No, you're good now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Cory, that was really, really deep. That was really good. I like that. It made me want to bring up this comment earlier, because I was hoping you'd address this too, if you have a comment about it. But Amber Lachelle is saying, I'm feeling like I need to release some kind of trapped in the body trauma in order to be able to trust people again. And I've never been through and I've been through this already. I'm sorry. I can read, you guys. So yeah, Amber, I resonate with this too, because I feel like we've all had these core wounds, and a lot of stuff was coming up this week in rechecking, it's almost like we're in we're not, how many planets are in retrograde? I don't even know, but it is literally like you're looking at stuff, it's coming up. So if you have a memory of something and it is stored in the body, there's tapping techniques, there's different things you can do. But if you just, follow spirit, you're spirit led, just go inside and ask. Like Holly was saying right here, comment right after that. Asking self. Just ask yourself inside. Have that conversation, is where is this trauma with trust? Why am I hurt so much? Because the experience of trust, it's like having a good meal, and you can never appreciate a really good meal until you've had the shitty, crappy one. You got to taste what crap tastes like first before you can appreciate the good. Otherwise, there's no gratitude. And this is like everything that's transforms us into a state of gratitude, because that's when the inner peace comes. When you're grateful for exactly where you are. You're grateful for the divine plan that put you there. Did you write the plan for yourself? Did somebody outside of you write it for you? Like that soul essence of you that is writing that plan, being so grateful that there's such a genius with a good sense of humor too. Ha ha, you got me again. Just being in that state of childlike wonderment. When you ask questions, you get answers instantly. Like Holly was trying to say, the answer is usually instantaneous. Going within and asking, and when we go on the outside, I know sometimes we want that validation. We just want to hear it on the outside. Like, just tell me, just show me a bird, and you see eagles looping over your head or whatever, you see cool things on the outside. That's great. But still what? Whether you saw something on the outside or not, the truth is still within anyway. So really only you can give your answers. It's just comforting. Now imagine when you get these signs all the time that you just live in that synchronicity, that symbiotic relationship of synchronicity with nature all the time. And you can have that. You have that right now. And if anybody tells you you don't have it, they're lying to you. So I hear music. Yeah. Is that
The
deep?
train of transmutation.
No, it's your train. Ah,
Just
it's the
on
Quantum
point.
Express.
Just on point. Well, that's very well put. And even James, he said you got to experience the lows to appreciate the highs, and how important that is, right? And the key is to make your bandwidth so vibrating so fast, the highs and the lows blend together, right? But I saw something really cool as this transmutation rolls past me, and it allows that to be taken out. And we can wait till the end. I'm not sure how much further we're going to go, but it's just a brief meditation. It only takes a couple minutes, but to allow your soul and your cells to harmony. So your cells, your DNA structure, your molecule structure, and your soul essence itself to structure together. And I was fortunate enough to be shown through the divinity of how that works. So I would like to bless everybody that when we are ready for that. Yes, train of transmutation is. I thought I wouldn't like living by a train, but I tell you what, it's quite interesting because it's like the river, it ebbs and flows, but there's times where there is no water, right? There is no train. So it's very interesting. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
I love the train, and starting at your house and going out west and then coming back, and Bev having one near her house. Oh my God. Did anybody else experience on the equinox like spider hearing, like spider sounds here, like supercharged? Everything was so loud, including the train that goes by. We can hear it normal like level, and then it sounds like it's so loud, like you could hear little footsteps coming from way out yonder, or going, what's going on? Everything's so loud. Did anybody else have that experience? Yeah.
Might have had something to do with the humidity.
No? Okay.
The dew point.
Oh, it was really, don't say that, negative Nelly. Doubting D. Don't say
Doubting
that.
D. No, don't put that on me. Don't you put that on me.
Well, did you no.
The lag's
No. I'm not. I cancel, clear, and send it back better. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Yeah, I think we're already at the hour. I can't believe how fast the time's gone. You guys have any last thoughts or any other topics you want to cover? Anything before we wrap it up? I would just want to give a shout out to everybody watching and everybody on Dee's channel and Cory's channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here and putting up with our technical difficulties. We love you very much.
I do have something I wanted to state very quickly.
Fine.
10/14, October 14th, we have a big solar eclipse that's occurring. And so a lot of right now, what's leading up is there are bridges that are opening up for a lot of us right now that are connecting back to a lot of Galactic and Guardian races. And basically this portal jump is an opportunity to land a really big pathway for us, right? And I recognize that sometimes these events get blown out of proportion, but what we're stating is that this solar eclipse is basically going to be, for some of us, a squeeze point in the reality to jump into new timelines and to harmonize into new realities. And so if things feel extra squishy or squeezy, remember it's the initiations and we've made it forward. I don't want to state this from a space of fear, but I've been noticing it where there's moments in the reality where I do feel like we've been talking about that, how to harmonize to a higher vibrational pathway. Well, sometimes the catalyst is that moment of what pulls us into the body to transcend it, to transform at a human level. Because once again, the consciousness here on planet Earth changes at a human level. So, but this does affect the grids. It does affect the gateways that are opening up as well. So extending out until that 10/14 window, we do have some of these pressure points that have been coming up, which means we're activating new stargates, new levels of light, new levels of awareness. And so if those things kind of happen, right, just, focus on those, the senses of self, focus on the self-love. Know that there is a big jump for some of us at a galactic level that's occurring on 10/14, including monadic shifts as well. So if you start to see new realities show up, new people, you're experiencing things in a new way, new codes, it's because, once again, it's kind of like awakening to a new season, a new essence, a new tribe That's kind of the things that I'm seeing for certain groups of people. I'm not going to speak that for the all, but just be aware of that 1014 jump that's occurring, because we are going through all the squishiness. And on eclipse too, for some eclipses, people's power shut down, right? So if on that day on 1014, you don't feel aware, our light bodies will sometimes shut off to recode, to restructure, and then it pops back online again. That's not for everybody, once again, but for some of us. So I've had eclipse windows where I hit the eclipse and some of us are maximized and amplified and some of us shut down. It's not that shutdown is because your light's going off because you're recoding, and you will expand and turn back on again, right? So just want to let people know that this is a big window, and there's a lot of big galactic groups that are doing some big grid work shifts for that 1014. So our crystals will be feeling it, and our Earth will be feeling the pole shifts as well. So
that's interesting. You talked about being turned off.
Nice.
The raccoons turned me off when they re-upgraded my system. And I was like, hey, you guys going to get it back on? And then they turned it back on, and it needed to be turned off again because it was a little bit too much oomph for the present time. But no, I think all in line is what we were doing. I mean, we're laughing. We're holding that. Don't you put that on me. That was funny. But there's all these different things that are going on. And I had no idea what I was going to get myself into this afternoon or this evening when we brought the cards and the energy. And I didn't really get to the core topics that I wanted to talk about, but in the same sense, it's very evident how the message is prevalent, and to pay attention to really propel yourself in that higher direction. Because if you understand the noise and you can quiet the noise, that's coming into mastery. So I wish everybody the best of luck, and know that this time of teeter-tottering will end. But you have to make the choice to get out the teeter-tottering and quit looking in the past and take responsibility to move forward. And once you do so, the energetical shift that happens, when you pull yourself into different frequencies, the other frequencies want to pull you back. And when you finally make that merger, you're in a whole different bubble around however you want to describe it. But you can still go back and connect, but you no longer get pulled in. And we're at this crucial threshold point of getting people to pull out. So when this equinox, not equinox, but the eclipse comes through, you're able to get reprogrammed and you're ready to make that change because you're no longer holding on to old paradigm. And then whenever you're ready, I want 2 minutes or so right at the end.
Visual I was just getting.
Oh boy.
No, definitely. I was just going to say the visual was the analogy I always use with the crabs in the bucket. And when one crab's trying to crawl out, the other crabs pull. You don't have to put a lid on a bucket of crabs, because when one crab goes to crawl out, all the other crabs pull them back in. But when a crab makes it out, it's like I just saw a little crab running on the ocean next to a bucket, like, bye, not go back.
Escape the bucket. Yes. Oh man,
that's funny. Well, yeah, I mean, Dee, you one of the things with the delay and all that too, and you said there's a couple topics you didn't get to that you really wanted to get to. Man, put them up on your channel.
I know.
Get some
right?
more. You guys, if you're not subscribed, I wanted to tell everybody that Dee and Cory's links are in the description box if you want to email them or make a donation for their time and their effort and their work and everything they bring to you and work so hard to do. So please visit the description box if you have a little extra and you want to send it, with a blessing of love and gratitude. We are grateful and we thank you so much. And I'm trying to get better at this. So hope that worked for you guys. And I hope
sounded great.
I hope the fountain I hope your cuppeth runneth overeth, many timeth over. Yes. Many times this. Now, how do you say times this? Many times this overeth. It already is. It already is. We're just down
the
here.
Valley we shall go.
Yes, we're just playing this out, and picking up our pieces along the way. We're cleaning up we know this is our mess. We're walking along the trail. We're not going to be picking up. I'm not picking up that mess because that's your mess. You're picking that up. I think Bev said it best when she said, not my circus, not my monkeys. So, yeah. Go ahead. You wanted a couple minutes. You go right ahead. Derek, Cory, whoever.
Yeah, so I saw this really cool thing on I was on a live. I'm starting to branch out and try to find new people who are inspirations. And somebody that I ran into led me to another person, but he did a live, and basically what he did was he pulled everybody into a residence, right? And that's what I'd like to do with everybody right now who would like to participate, is just to bring ourselves into a residence. And that residence is going to be highly with the divine, right? It has nothing to do with me or anybody in this room. It's more of that energy of the creator itself. And what it does is it harmonizes your energy. So just take a big deep breath in, kind of allow yourself to settle in, right? And just kind of, wiggle it off or whatever, but really just feel present. And whether it's you're wiggling your toes or you're tapping your fingers, find some kind of present within your body. And then as we breathe in and we come into the residence, we allow our crowns to open up. And everybody wears a crown on their head. Now, everybody's crown might be the same, but in the same sense, depending on how you create, you can create a crown of your choosing. Well, we just allow the crown to open up, and then we're just going to bring in a divine essence, and we're going to get comfortable with feeling the divine run through us. So that heat's going to build, that radiance is radiating out of you now that you become full of this divine energy. As this divine energy fills you up and it fills you up and it fills you up, now we're filled up and we're expanding and we're casting this out throughout the collective. As we become one in essence with the divine, we radiate out. It allows others to expand, tap into that, and radiate out as well. And the better that we get at doing this and allowing ourselves to take a second and be free within our body and our moment and allow the divine blessings to come in, the greater we will expand and the more we will achieve. As we expand and as we achieve, it's our greater good to give it out to everyone else. And as we learn to vibrate like we are now, eventually we will vibrate more and more often. And eventually you are the vibration that you desire. I just wanted everybody to feel that strong shift of energy and that vibration and lean into it. Now, obviously, it's like running a marathon in a way. You don't want to run the whole thing and try to run that all day long, but just know what it feels like. Tap into that when you can and just enjoy that essence. And as we do, I mean, as the guy says, it doesn't get much better than this, right? We are in a pinnacle time. It's a beautiful experience. We really just need to embrace that for all it is. So allow that divine blessing to wash over you now and carry out throughout your night.
Thank you, brother. Namaste.
Absolutely.
Wow, that was great. Where'd you get that bowl too? What is it? A certain is it Tibetan singing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Dream, he does a sound bowl healing tour. He actually went to Tibet where they make these bowls, and it was a little bit more expensive, but the story of the journey of how he went to Tibet and how these sound bowls, by selling these sound bowls, helped rebuild their community. This was a community that was in the side of a cliff kind of thing, and the rainwaters and everything buried the city. And by producing these bowls, they were able to reproduce and rebuild their community. And so I've got a hand piece of craftsmanship. I think there's over 30 different types of metals that are in here. It vibrates at 333 because I'm a Guthrie and everything's threes. And then if you give it a little love tap, you get the little crown 552. So very special bowl.
Very nice, D. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
I felt compelled to buy it back in the day because it was just, the story was too good. Thank you. And thank Cory. I mean, just being with you guys, I know the love lag was a little frustrating and a little intimidating at first. Like I said, there was a big essence inside of me that didn't want to talk about this stuff, which is very interesting because it's some of the stuff that I put to rest. But getting that collective consciousness out there and being aware of all these thought forms and patterns of dickery-do that's going around, we can work our way around it and we can be stronger. But not only that, we can help shift and create what we want to create, right? So be careful what you're putting your energy into. Be careful what you're choosing. And if something's not happening that's in the divine alignment and that you can see, right, pinpoint it back and learn from it and then don't allow it to come back into your presence.
Okay, you're 14 to 17-year-old. I'm getting 14. I was getting 17. Was arguing with the Galactic about bringing that energy in or not wanting it to come through. And it's like everything stabilized when they said okay, and decided to play on the same team. So I don't know who
it's
you're
a young
14
energy in me, huh? That's interesting.
It is. It's young, but it's just wants to be heard, I guess. Listen, and maybe wants to do the speaking. So yeah, I think he got to play. I think he got to express himself. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Feels like they played on the same team tonight. Yeah.
We hated cliques, we hated groups. We did not like school at all. We tried to hang out with everybody and we got left alone.
I think it's either 6 or 8. 6 or 8 dimensional team members, the one that was working with them, trying to corral. So
yeah,
that's the frequency.
Yep. It was definitely powerful. Blessed you to see that. Thank you for pointing that out. I'll make sure to work on that tonight.
Yeah, you already did. I'm sure you'll tap right into it now. You'll just be like coming in and be like, all right, you guys ready for your cookie now? Well, Cory, how you doing? You good?
Good. Yeah, I'm here enjoying and loving seeing the energy where it's at. And I think it's actually, for me to be able to sit back and to just enjoy and hold space is a really beautiful thing. So no problems here. I'm actually in a moment of gratitude. So thank you. Thank you. And the biggest thing too about D, I relate with those age ranges, the 14 to 17-year-old, and that's, there's a lot happening with the throat chakra family. So guys, please keep opening up and sharing your truth. I've been talking about this a lot on my channel too. There's a lot that's been happening in regards to the people stepping forward, calling forward that experience of that throat chakra expansion, standing in your truth, the embodiment, what you want to share. Please, you have every right to share your light and your truth with this world, right? Please. And that's all. That's all.
Just one little injection is like sharing your truth and using your throat chakra and being vocal like that, how important it is. But to open our throat chakras up even more, we speak our truth, but really watch how you cast your spells, right? So you don't want to talk about people. You don't want to put people down. You don't want to stir anything, right? If anything, you want to defend, condemn, and put things to rest. And I think it's really going to be crucial to do that leading up pretty much till 2 days after the full moon, because obviously people within your family and stuff are going to be feeling it, and if you can carry kind of the energy and the vibe that you feel right now and around your family throughout the next couple of days, it's going to really cast a bigger shadow out over their stuff. We'll call it a fountain of light, UV light that they can't see. It's not really a shadow. It's actually a big plasma ball, but we can't see it with our physical eyes at this current moment in time.
Thank you.
And yes.
One thing I wanted to say about that too, D, is also, guys, if you do have to share your truth, intend for clearing. Because that's been the biggest thing when I started to activate the spells and the wizard was to, if I go in with the intention that I'm here to clear this and resolve it, I can get that lump out of my throat. The other thing too, journaling has been really important over here. I don't know if anyone else does that, but just getting down and getting the journal out really helps. And then the intention, because I too go through this as a spellcaster and as a wizard, is like, at what level am I allowed to share without thinking I'm going to continually create realities? And this is where I activate the fact that I'm also a healer as well, archetypally. And I want to state that because I've had moments for myself where I feel like I'm hitting dead ends, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't share this, and mindful of the spells and seeing how it reverberates in the reality and taking on too much. And I also to have an internal spell correction inside of me, which is the creator from within me, knowing that I can't do wrong. So remember that, just like we have autocorrect and spell correct on our cell phone, remember that there's an internal spell correction or a higher 9th dimensional wizard that understands that we're still at a human level, learning about the right ways to go about things. So we can personify that we actually do have a 9th dimensional and higher support that will correct the energy if we spin things in a way that isn't for the highest good. And that's something I've had to do too. That's helped because, that fear of making a mistake, that fear of doing something wrong. We've seen, some of us some of us in the male category have seen some pretty nasty events occur based upon things that we said, and especially the oracles, right? We've had oracles that have spoken their truth to people and sent them on quests that ended in brutal wars. And there was a big distortion against the oracle with this, where the oracle, the divine messenger, would bring in these messages that didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was in a rhythm and a rhyme that wouldn't give all the truths, but it gave clues, and it sent men on excavations and quests that ended in brutal wars and brutal discoveries, right? So before all of that, and better is to recognize that at the level of creator and creation within us, to be mindful, to not play into the drama category, the gossip, things like this, right? But also to remember that if we do need to clear something, like for me, when I'm healing the victim, sometimes I need to bitch. Right. And so when I'm doing that, I say, you know what, I'm here clearing energy. And I know that I know when I'm playing in the blame, drama, trauma, and I need to get my fulfillment, I need that food. But if I know when I'm going in and intending, hey, I'm here to clear this, right? Clear the air. Once it's clear, you're done. Seek resolution. You can move on, right? And it's once again, it's just knowing. And I want to state that because I'm the same way, where I'm like, be mindful of words, and I do it a lot where we're having discussions, right? So my family's sitting there and opening up to me. I'm like, don't say that word, don't use this word, and I start doing spell blockers on them. But I'm also blocking them from being able to just be authentically who they are. Which means Cory's got to get off and this is just for Cory, get off the wizard elite ruling yard of telling people how to speak and what words to use, and hold space and because there are some people. And I've seen people in these relationships who have been silenced, who haven't been able to communicate, who haven't been able to sing their song and tell their truth. And it's also, we have to know we got to hold some space too, at some level, to hold compassion for them to be able to open up and to express and to get it out fully. Right. So,
wow. And you just hit the nail on the head with that, because when they're speaking their truth, it's almost another way of saying like judgment. If you're not, there goes the train again. if you're listening to what they're saying and you're truly there to clear something, well, yay, choo-choo. You can clear by transmutation. Remember, we're the master alchemist that wants to come out to play too. We're not just the healers. We're not just the wizards. We're not just spell casting and grid working and doing all these titles we give ourselves. The master alchemist can transmute anything. And you might think of alchemy as just turning something into gold. Well, all right, we're just talking about energy here. But your elixirs that you create with your own plasmic rays, it's liquid light. So if you have liquid emerald ray and liquid violet flame and you mix it together, like, what are you going to get? Like, I like to play around with things like that. It's like playing around with the programming, because if you're sitting there and you're helping somebody by being the person, not to absorb and take on, but why not? I mean, the Kuan Yin method used to be breathing in through the left palm, because that's the receiving palm, breathing in the pain and transmuting it in your heart, and then sending back out to the vacuum. So there's no space, like, putting out the good light from here after you transmuted it. That's like ancient healer kind of stuff. And you learn how to do that. And people, you don't have to take that on now, but you can be the master alchemist and you can play in your own field. So if you're going into a situation to vent and you're going to vent, you're also going there to clear it. You've already set your intentions. Like, yay, bravo. Now it's like, well, let me just try to imagine a different outcome that I never did before. And that's that, because I got to work on things like shutting my mouth, because I do tend to talk a lot. So, I'd like to I want to go with the intention to listen to somebody that normally I don't listen to. Or if somebody is talking all the time and I never get to speak, then I'm going to go with the intention of, I'm going to share my truth and I'm going to find the opening. I mean, hard to imagine, right? But there are certain people that we might talk more with or not talk more with. But the difference of knowing whether or not you're taking it, whether you're playing victim and playing in that sandbox, so to speak, of either that or victim, or you're going to clear it, it's venting. So if you're setting up your own fields, you're playing in your own alchemy of, I'm going to vent this, because suppose you do start talking about somebody, whoops, I shouldn't have done that. I know I shouldn't have done it. I caught myself. Pull that back and let me just send them out a blessing just because. But it's content.
Right. Send them
you got to look at what you're pulling back as content, because your energy, everything is content. Data is content. Everything is content. So look at stuff like, and I was talking somebody through this the other day, and it was a great analogy to use. So I'm going to tell you. So if your field is filled with like dark, heavy cloud, you see stuff as like the nasty negative chords, black, whatever. Visualize it in a bubble and away from your aura. So kind of blow it out from your heart out. And you can use violet flame and send it all over. But then what happens? Are you going to just let that content become what? Ashes, fairy dust, drop it down on the ground. You know what? How about you take that and you turn it into blessings? You turn it into something that you can send out instead of just leaving it at, oh, I'll just transmute it. I'll use the violet flame and you don't think about it. You're not finishing your program. You're given the ability to write a program and create something. It's content creation. So if you're transmuting a piece of doo-doo, what are you going to make with that? You know, you're going to use the violet flame or play with your alchemy a little bit, play with the colors, play with your
I like
healing,
that.
play with the chords. If people are constantly sending chords at you from family or somebody close or wherever you're living somewhere, when you push something out from your field and you give it an everlasting seal that came from your heart, it's like a goo you can put on the end of that. You got to play with the programming because you are the creator programmer. You already are. You just have to pull in those cellular memories that you can do it and stay with one program. So finish it
Yes,
out.
you
If you go to
can.
the transmutation, don't just call it in and assume that it's all done. You don't have the training wheel. You don't want the training wheels on. So if you're being looked at as, what are you going to do with the content? So if the universe throws something at you that feels like a meteor, you know, they just like, oh, I got hit by this upside the head. What are you going to do with that? Like as a martial artist, I would look at somebody who comes at me with a weapon as I'm gonna take that weapon from you, and that's gonna be my weapon now. So you got to have that kind of warrior sense of what are you
Mhm.
going to do with the content that's in your field?
Sure.
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like becoming that black ninja in a way, right? And being stealthy within your movement so you don't wake up others or disturb others, but in the same sense, you're being shifty and moving around the energies. You know, I'm still a human experience, right? My wife and is sometimes she's feeling down and upset, so I'm trying to steer her in a more positive direction, right? Well, then that kind of infuriates her, and then she snaps at me and she's like, "Well, you just know it all." And all that heat comes to me, and I get so upset because I'm like, "I don't know it all, and I hate when you say that." You know, it's like, so yes, I still have real moments too, and we're all getting through this together. I just wanted to share that because I thought it was interesting how you both described that, and it's something and getting better at listening, but then also understanding what you're reverberating out and how it reflects. And sometimes silence is best, but even with the silence, you still have thoughts going in your head. So don't put
Oh, it's
thoughts
never
out
silent.
there.
Sorry, it's never silent. It's never silent. There's always something, but like we don't have to be right. That's what I'm learning.
Yes.
I don't have to be right. It doesn't matter. I can sit there and absolutely know something, and I don't have to speak it. And that's something I'm kind of working on and learning
That's
right now
power
too.
right there in itself. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very good. Very good.
It's humbling
It is.
because we like to be right. We want that validation, you know? It's like that's human. But the human is evolving. So the human can learn it doesn't have to be right. Just has to be present.
Mm. Like self-validation.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll write that one down and tap into that.
Self-validation. That's been a big one. Last night, self-reward was a big one too, which was like reward yourself, self-motivation too, right? To just keep going, just keep swimming. Because I think at times we also need our own personal cheerleader to not give up, right? To not give up, to just keep moving forward. And that's a lot of, once again, that when we look at that solar plexus energy that comes in, that's the stability of being able to take healthy action, the initiation, the initiative, right? And so self-reward's been a big one that's been coming up for myself as well, has been, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself that confirmation, right? Because if we're trying to seek that from outside resources, we're activating a backwards reality, and we're here to remember how to activate for that from within so we can receive it from without. It very much so is the refinement and manifestation, right? And so we're not playing in the inverse, but we're actually playing in the reality that we know, right? That we know. And the biggest thing too is I've seen the collective of men that I'm aware of still healing really deep levels of this guru stuff and the corruption in regards to the guru. right? And so that energy can come in where the feminine goes, oh, you just know it all, right? Well, the thing is that there are people, once again, that have been disempowered and might not know as much as us, right? And so we all, that rising up together, not rising up against, is important. And the self-empowerment, because I see this too, and there's moments where I'm like, dude, I don't know it all, right? I don't know it all.
Exactly.
I just snapped the whole thought process in. We don't really mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
That whole, a leader versus a ruler. We can be kings, but we lead by example, but also through how we are, right? I mean, it's not like putting this persona on. This is it's living it every day. It's not I'm just gonna wake up. It's I'm evolved. I'm evolving and then I'm evolved, right? You get to this point in your journey and it's like you want to know more, but do you need to know more? And then you realize you are all that is. It's very powerful. It's very weird how it clicks in the synapses of your brain. But once that shift does happen, that's the moment where you're shifting dimensions, in my opinion. But it's just so interesting.
Yeah.
The whole
and going in and out of dimensions, different dimensional things. Like I have to address this too. That way, silence is consent. And not having to be right, and what Dee's talking about, rising up together. Like, all right, so let me just clarify, because I'm talking about opinions. If I know I'm right because I saw something that, say, I don't know, let's just say my mother saw something and I know she's not right about it. I'm not going to correct her, because what's really the point for that? It's for me to be right. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of thing where you don't always have to be right that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about consenting to any kind of something major. Like I will speak.
Well, I mean, that
major,
brings
I
up
will
a really
not
good
shut
point
up.
too, and what we choose and what we allow to be our reality, right? Because at sometimes if we don't stand up and have the conflicting because we're afraid to step on somebody's toes, now we've accepted it into our reality. So,
yes, but
there is a thin line.
Yes, the thing is, if you're in communion with spirit, if you are walking with spirit led, your soul's in your body basically, and at that moment you're able to think and be silent and think to yourself, am I serving any good by correcting her right now? No, that's just helping my ego because I know I'm right, blah, blah, blah. If it's one of those things, then it doesn't serve any purpose. I'm not accepting it because I already know I'm right, about whatever the topic might be. Not being cocky, just saying I might remember something she does, but sometimes I've been wrong too. So I do have to humble myself on that one. But yeah, you just ask if it's going to help. If it's not going to help, what's the point?
It's so powerful once you decide you're going to be in acceptance, right? The acceptance is I'm going to accept what comes to me and I'm going to deal with it, right? That's getting rid of the victim and the blame and all that crap, right? You're accepting. It's so powerful. But then in the same sense, there's this fine line of I don't want to accept this. And to craft that, but you almost have to go from one extreme to not accepting anything to being like in your own little shell, and then getting out of your shell, accepting everything, and then coming back into the divinity of the divine of that duality and saying, okay, this is what I'm allowing in my field, and this is what I don't want to allow in my field. So very interesting points. So it's just, I had that aha moment to not accepting anything. Woe's me. Why is everything got to be so hard? Oh, you can never get ahead. And then all of a sudden, boom, I just accepted. I became a free-spirited bird, and now I'm flocking back to the nest and reproducing. So it's very impelling. So
and Dee, I wanted to share too really quickly, and then we'll wrap it up because I think we could go on forever and ever about this.
Yes, we could.
Is for all of us, boundaries, guys, is like remember because boundaries define reality. Right, which is we talk about allowing what we allow in and don't allow in, and so the thing is that for us, because what's cool is there's a refinement of service. Because the thing that I'm seeing for Brother D over here is he's like, as he's going through this, we all do this as healers or as way showers or as guides, as leaders, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you want. We go through refinement periods, and we start to refine the way that we think, the way we act, the way we respond. Our service starts to change, which means our service structure, our internal service structure changes. As this goes on, guys, hold space where you need to hold space, but also honor boundaries. Because the thing is, too, is when we look at at a soul level, what people agree to learn about with power dynamics, how to get back online, how to walk onto their own 2 feet, how to seek independence, how to remember their voice, how to remember their truth, how to remember their clarity, is we got to work through the polarity. But at the expense of what? Because once again, we still have to hold integrity within our container of what we allow and don't allow, which is where our boundaries come in. So how can we propagate safe space for everyone to go through what they're going through, but also go, hey, wait a minute. I from my journey, from my integrity and my wisdom, don't want to repeat patterns where people can just step all over me or people can just scream at me. And so you got to go, hey, wait a minute now, right? Soft space for this, please. And that's the thing is we're going to start seeing this more too, as we start to work at, for me, we discuss a lot here, morals. Right. And morals is really important because there's a family net. There's a bloodline morality that is built within our bloodline, and it's a part of our genetic code. Now we start to go into the soul morals and the consciousness morals and what expands beyond that. And that's the thing is that we start to see that sometimes these relationships can start to feel karmic. And I'm not talking about D. I'm just saying, because this ties into what Lynda was bringing up. Some of these relationships can start to feel more karmic. And here's why. There's now a deeper evolution of truth that's evolving in the new boundaries, which defines the reality, right? Which is the new dragon coming online. So when we have a new dragon coming online, the new boundaries gives new definition, which starts to propagate new realities. Now we have to learn how to communicate and dialogue through that as well, which means patience, practice, and alignment, because that's what's happening. New dragons are coming online. And when the new dragon comes online, we have new form, new boundaries. So once again, guys, these are the things that define us. And these are the things that also identify us as well. So ego is a part of this. And so the biggest thing is, once again, just hold those boundaries to know what you can allow, what you can withstand, and also look at sustainability, right? Because a lot of the thing is we're looking at those collapsing and disaster roles that don't have to be a part of the reality anymore, which plays main stage, right? It's those moments where everything catalyzes and collapses. And I'm sorry, but things have happened in our journey and in our lifetimes at this roundtable that have affected us. And we don't need to keep propagating the awareness of those old realities, because the new epoch says that in the new realities, we have new standards, new ways of doing things, right? New levels of unity consciousness, how we treat one another, new levels of respect, new levels of integrity. So let's honor that too, which is let's also start to create and voice those boundaries within the container as everyone's going through their experience. So we also too don't get in the way of them having their experience, which is a big level of understanding for a lot of us. And anyways, that's just my opinion and something I wanted to state.
That's great.
It's great.
You don't know what you want until you experience it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you don't want to give anybody
what they can't have.
Yep. And you don't want to give anybody the answers to the test, because then you're interfering at a soul level, and that's like cheating. So,
that was something I had to learn from. I got to be careful with the information I share, because then you could vicariously live through my experiences and put yourself
vicariously, vicariously. I get it. That's a good punny. You're so funny.
Hey man, it's just natural, right? What can I say? Thank you so much, Lynda, for putting this together tonight. I had a great time. Like Cory said, we could go all night. So
thank you for the tap on the shoulder. That was instigated by D. So thank you, D, to infinity. Thank you, Cory, for being here. Oh my God. Bev, we miss you. We know that you're exactly where you need to be, and we'll see you next time. And you guys, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Go subscribe to everybody's channel. All the links are in the description, and there's donation links, there's email links, and all that kind of stuff. So please, if you can, support us in our work and mission. And we're just here to help flip the planet, Team Light all the way. So love you guys. I guess we'll see you next time. And don't be food.
Yes.
Just be a little bit better today than you were yesterday.
Stay you, be true.
Later.
Peace.